category of branch keeps all the accounting records of the branch. So if the head office keeps all the account records of the branch, then the method to be applied in record keeping can be either double column or memorandum column system or method, data system method, or stock and data system. So for today, we are going to have a question on double column or memorandum column system. Of course, the other time or the next lesson, we will have another question on stock and data system. So with data system, this is one of the important also method, but it won't be covered in this revision. So I advise you to make revision on this method. You may find a question also in this part. Let us see now, what do we mean by double column system or memorandum column system? So this system use two columns as the word double column in the branch stock account. So far, the branch stock account will be opened or ruled with the two columns. There will be a base column, and which will be also followed by another column, which is memorandum column. So in the base column, this will act as the trading column. Will act as a trading account on which now it will be used to determine the gross profit, whereas the memorandum column will be used to depict any shortage in stock. So this is intended just to be like a control, and because it is maintained at selling price, it's supposed to balance. Any imbalance could mean either shortage or surplus. So what are the important accounts to be opened under this system? Under this system, there will be 5 accounts to be opened. That include branch stock account, branch data account for record keeping of debtors, branch cash account for any cash or bank, and will be an account for goods sent. Finally, you need to open up branch profit or loss account. These are the main 5 accounts to be opened under this double column system. We need to highlight these important notes before we go on the accounting procedures. So you may find this term in branch accounting, normal loss. What does it imply? So in normal loss, this is the expected loss. So as you are doing business, there is a loss that you expect. For example, assume in a single shop selling sugar. So if you buy 100 kilos of sugar, as you are selling in liter units, finally if you total the units sold, so you'll find that they are not tallying with 100 kilograms. It's either to be less, let's say 98, or to be more than 100, let's say 101 or 100 and point. So these, if there will be any shortage, so there will be a policy for each firm or for each enterprises to provide for expected loss. So should be in a certain percentage agreed by each firm. So any loss that will be in that range, so will be termed is the normal loss. So this is treated as a normal trading cost, and whereas the reasonable amount of stock may be lost due to handling and pilferage, etc. So handling and the pilferage may be one of the issues that leads for this normal loss to happen. Abnormal loss, this will be a loss beyond the normal loss. This normally occurred if the loss is beyond the expected, or even sometimes the question will tell you that there were abnormal loss. Maybe it could be issue related to theft and etc. So if the loss is beyond the expected loss, that is normal loss, that will be termed as abnormal loss. So with this, the whole amount at selling price will be deducted or credited in the branch stock account under the memorandum column, whereas the cost price under this method will be charged or credited to the base column. So why do we do this? To give attention of the cost in the base column, and that will reduce the total profit. There is also issue of markdowns. What do we mean by the term markdown? This is a term or terminology used in the business firm, especially during peak period, when we need to boost our sales, or when you have stocks that have stayed in the business for a long period. So we may reduce the selling price in order to increase our turnover. If you send these goods at selling price, and also you find that there is a need of reducing the selling price in order to boost sales, so then you may now reduce the price. If you reduce the price, so this is what we call it markdown. This occurs when a management decides to mark down or to cut down their selling price. So the effect of this will reduce only the expected profit, and this will be credited to the branch stock account, but this will be only under memorandum column. Well, what are the accounting entries under this system? When goods are sent to branch, if you send goods to branch, automatically we are going to debit branch stock account and credit goods sent account. So in the goods sent account, we credit with cost price. But under branch stock account, because there will be two columns, the base column will be recorded at cost to make the double entry, but the memorandum will be recorded at selling price. So the base column at cost, memo column at selling price, but the goods sent will be at cost. So when goods are sold at the branch in cash, whenever the branch will sell these goods, if it is at cash, debit branch cash or bank account, we credit branch stock account, but in the base column with the selling price, and also the memo column will be at the same selling price. So all sales are recorded in both columns at selling price. The same applied if goods are sold on credit. So we recognize the indebtedness to debtor, we debit debtor account, and we credit branch stock account at selling price in the base and at selling price in the memo column. When settlements are made by the branch debtor pays the account, so we debit branch cash or bank account, we credit branch debtor account to recognize the receipt from the debtor. For any bad debts written off or discount received from a discount allowed from debtors, so this reduces our profit, of course, and we reduces the amount available from debtors. So we debit profit or loss account and we credit branch debt account. And when the branch returns goods to the head office, the branch may decide to return some goods due to various reasons. If the branch returns these goods, we debit them to goods sent to branch with the cost price, of course, because they were sent. Whether they are sent at selling price, because these goods sent is ruled at cost, then you are going to debit with the cost price. But the double entry will go to branch stock, whereas we credit at base column with the cost and at memorandum column with the selling price, because they are recorded at selling price under this column. For returns by debtors to the branch, when branch debtors returns goods to the branch, so of course this will be a transaction related to branch and its debtor. What do we debit? We debit branch stock account to recognize the return, but it should be at selling price in both base and the memo column. Why? Because when these goods were sold, was credited on the branch stock account. So if you are returning them, so we debit them to cancel out the transaction, and this will remain in the goods sent. Then will remain as a stock, yes. Then it will be credited to branch debtors account with the selling price, because they were sold at selling price. What if the branch debtors decide to return these goods direct to the head office? If branch debtors decide to return these goods direct to the head office, what we do? We debit branch stock account, but in the base column with the profit margin only. In the memo column, there will be no entry because these goods are returned direct to the head office. But again, we are going to debit goods sent to reduce the goods sent balance. This will be with the cost. Of course, the profit margin will be here, and again, the double entry will be to branch debt account, and this is with the sales value. So when branch remits fund to the head office, we debit head office cash or bank account, and we credit branch cash or bank account. So this is for remittance to the head office. At the end of the year, or at the end of the accounting period, so for closing balance of stock, in the branch stock account, we credit the base column with the cost price, but also we credit the memorandum column with the selling price. So at the end, there might be normal loss, as I said before. This normal loss will be credited to the branch stock account, but this will be only in the memorandum column at selling price. What if there is abnormal loss? For abnormal loss, as I said before, we need to give it attention. So we are going to, in the branch stock account, to credit the base column with the cost price, but also we credit the memorandum column with selling price. So far, let us now go and see a question on this part. Let's have a short break. As we come back, so we are going to read the question and solve it. Thank you. Okay, so we are back. Let us read our question. So the question reads, the Samburu Enterprises with the head office at DARASA has a branch in Tanga. All goods for the sale are purchased by the head office, and those invoiced to branch are sent at a price determined to yield a profit margin of 20%, which also is the selling price for the branch. All records for the branch are maintained in DARASA. That means this was a dependent branch. So the following data relates to the branch. We are given the amount in Tanzania shillings on 1st January 2019. Branch stock at cost 16,860. Branch debtors 4,820. Branch bank account 2,670. Transaction during the year. Goods sent to branch at selling price was 65,700. Goods returned to the head office by the branch at selling price was 1,560. There were returns of goods by branch debtors to the branch at selling price. That was 870. There were cash sales 25,000. Credit sales 42,620. Expenses paid by the head office. The expenses paid by the head office was 8,220. Discount allowed to debtors. It was 1,250. Bad debts 850. Reduction in price authorized by the head office. It is 450. Cash remittance to the head office 62,000. And on 31st December 2019, branch stock at selling price, you are given 16,610. We are given additional notes. The firm assume 1% of goods sent to branch has normal loss, and shortage in excess of this is assumed to be the abnormal loss. So use the double column method to prepare the branch stock account. So the question requires us to prepare the double column branch stock. Using the double column method to prepare branch stock account. Let us go now to see how we can open this. Well, this is base column, this is memo column, this is credit side, and this is debit side. This is base column, and this is memo column. So we give the title, that is branch stock account. So far the amount should be in CZS. So let's go now to enter each and every item as required. So we are told that the head office was in Dar es Salaam, the branch is in Tanga. All goods are supplied by the head office, and they were sent at a selling price that was set to yield a profit margin of 20%. So we are given the margin. Margin was 20%. So which is just like the margin was 20 over 100, which is 1 over 5. So then the markup will be now 1 over 5 minus 1, which will be equal to 1 over 4. So this information, we are going to use them as we are adjusting for the profit loading. Okay, let's go now to the entries. We are given the opening balance, that was branch stock at cost. The balance at cost, it is 16,860. So if this was at cost, we need to raise by adding the markup to the cost to get the selling price. So what was the cost? The cost is 16,860 times 1 over what is our markup? 4. So the profit is supposed to be 4,215. If you add this profit to the markup, to the cost, we get the selling price of 21,075. That is the opening balance. Then branch data account, because this account is not required, so we are not going to open it. So but this should be debited. You know how to rule it. You could open this by debiting the branch debtors account with this amount. The same applied with branch bank account. We could debit this if we could have been required to open this account, but it's not in our requirement. Let's go to the next transaction during the year. Goods sent to branch at selling price. There are goods sent to branch. This goods sent normally increases the balance of our stock in the branch stock, and of course normally when goods are sent, as I said previously, if you open up, let's say, the goods sent, account, we credit by debiting branch stock, but this should be at cost. So we need to compute the cost price. We debit here the branch stock by writing goods sent. It was at selling price, that is 65,700. So we need to compute the cost price. So change the selling price, change the goods sent at selling price to be at cost. Take 65,700 times the margin, that is 1 over 5. So the profit loading was 13,140. If you deduct this from the selling price, we get the cost price, that is 52,560. So this also you need to show here, 52,560. So this account also was not required, but I'm just trying to show you how you could have opened. So the next item, goods returned to head office by the branch at selling price. They are returns. If the branch returns these goods to a head office, they reduce the goods available to the branch. So we send them to goods sent. Goes to reduce the goods sent. This is returns. It was at selling price 1,560. Also we need to adjust this to make it at cost times 1/5. That was the markup. We get the profit loaded 312. If you less, you get the cost element 1,248. So this also will reduce here the goods sent. We enter here branch stock, that was returns 1,248. What next? Returns of goods by branch debtors to the branch at selling price. So the branch debtor, so if we assume that there was a selling to debtors, and of course we shall see them later. These sales to the debtor. So this debtor returns these goods which were previously sold to them by the branch. So for returns to the branch by branch debtors, we say that we debit the branch stock to recognize the sales, and we credit branch debtor account, and this should be at selling price. So we debit, we call it branch debtor, that is returns. This should be recorded at selling price for both party, because it was sold at selling price. Well, there were cash sales. So cash sales, it was 25,000. So you record it at selling price in both columns. There were credit sales sent to debtors account. How much? It was 42,620. The same applied here. You record at selling price. So this will also go to be debited in the branch debtor account if we could have opened this account. Then there were expenses paid by the head office. They should be credited to either cash or bank account. And of course, if it could be there could have been opened, we could enter this item to that account. Because it is not required, it will be not part of this account. Then we go to the next, that is discount allowed to debtors. This was a discount allowed to debtors. It will reduce the balance of debtors. We debit our profit or loss, that is under the discount expenditure, but also we credit the branch debtor account. So has nothing to do with our question here. There were bad debts, the same applied. Bad debts, we debit profit or loss account, we credit branch debtor account. The next item is on reduction in price authorized by the head office. So this reduction in price authorized by the head office reduces the profit loaded. So we call it a reduction in price, or in other words, markdown. So there's nothing to do with the base column. We enter here, that is 450, and should be recorded at selling price. So there were cash remittance to the head office. So the branch remitted 62,000 to the head office. So this should be credited to the branch bank account and being debited to the head office bank or cash account. On 31st December 2019, the branch stock at selling price was 16,610. So we need to include this as our balance. So we leave a space 610. So we need to adjust this to get the cost element. So 16,610 times 1/5. So we get the profit loaded 3,322. Yes, if you deduct it, we get the cost element of 13,288. So that was the closing entry for the branch stock account. Then, in the addition notes, we are told that the firm assumes 1% of goods sent to branch has normal loss. If there are normal loss, we need to compute this normal loss. So, how do we determine the normal loss? So, the normal loss will be 1% of the goods sent, which was 65,700. So how much do we get? 1/100 times 65. Yes, 65,700. Yes. That was 657. So far we need to put it here. That is normal loss. Should be recorded at the selling price. The whole amount. Well, so we are done with the entries that is required to be shown in the branch stock account, but we need first of all to start balancing our account using the memo column. So any difference, because this item we are shown at selling price, if there will be any difference, so we constitute abnormal loss. That will be either there were safety at the branch, or any circumstances that led this shortage. And this shortage will include, because we have already shown the normal, the acceptable loss. So any loss beyond that will include the cost element. So far, let us start balancing to see whether there is any abnormal loss. So we have our opening balance 21,075 plus 65,700 plus 870. So we get our total here 87,645. Let us put our balance here 645. So we have got our total 87,645. Let us now deduct the credit side. We less 1,560 less 25 thousand less 42,620 less 450 less 657 less 16,610. So we get 748. So as I've said, this include this is abnormal loss. So we need to compute the cost element to give it attention in the loss. So take this times 748 times 1/5, the margin. We get the profit loading of 150. So if you less 150, we get 598. So 598. This will be abnormal loss. So this loss will be transferred to profit or loss account. After balancing this memo column, we go now to balance the base column to determine the profit. Definitely, because these items are shown at cost, and of course these are shown, the item for sale are shown at selling price, we expect this to be greater. We start adding the credit side, 1,248 plus 25,000 plus 42,620 plus 598 plus 13,288. We get a total of 82,754. Assume it is 82,754. So we less the debit column, that is 16,860 less 52,560 less 870. Yes, we get 12,464. This will be our gross profit. Okay, so far we have completed our branch stock account as it was required in the question. We have seen how the gross profit is being determined, and of course under this method we say that you are required to open almost 5 accounts. We have seen the first one. The second one was this. Of course, if you be required to transfer, you transfer this to a trading account. So the balance will be transferred to trading account. So far, you are going to sum up and deduct with this, you get the amount transferred to trading account. And also you could have been required to open up the other account that include branch, debt account, branch, cash account or bank account, branch, profit or loss account. So those accounts you could also be required to open. So do more questions in this part because it is very important part in your syllabus. Basically, this marks the end of today's session. The next session we'll have another lesson, independent branch, but basically we are going to concentrate on another method, that is stock and data system. So the number displayed there. So use this number to give comments, to ask questions. Remember to do the questions we are displaying. So the question is already displayed on your screen. Solve that question. Any challenge, communicate with us through our email, through our number. Wish all the best. Keep on revising. See you next lesson. Thank you.